Hey guys, it's Levi, the Christian Alpha, from RP Christians, bringing you a short podcast for singles. I'm single, never been married, dated a lot, and most of the other guys on the podcast are married. So there was a request for some singles content. We're going to be going over the 3 things that kill attraction. 1, looking like a puny little wiener physically, aka you're a string bean or you are fat and you don't look intimidating at all. 2nd thing, having weak frame. You absolutely have to have a solid frame, or at least be working on it. I'll get into more of what that looks like a little bit later. And the 3rd thing is having a mission, having a purpose. Super important. Women do not want to follow a guy that doesn't know where they're going in life. Talked about it in a previous podcast with one of the women from RP Christian Women. I think that's a sub. Haven't really been active on there. Just give you a little brief about me. So 32, I'm a car salesman. It's a new job I've just recently got into. I like it. Working on a side hustle still. Announce that maybe sometime in the future. Been on plenty of dates. Haven't found any girls that I want to join my life. So continuing on the mission, which also involves working out, hanging out with buddies, and hunting. That's one of my big things, is hunting. I'm about to go on an 11-day hunting trip with my best friend Joe. So I'm a tad bit scatterbrained with the excitement, so I apologize for any pauses that may happen. Background on me, I was pretty blue pill, like super cringe. I was raised in the church. I was dating a crazy girl, but I was not saved, and I thought she needed Jesus. I was really narcissistic. She also had some like spiritual and mental disorders going on. And so started going to this church, and I heard the gospel for the first time, and people were walking the walk and talking the talk. And so, long story short, I gave my life over to the Lord. There wasn't like a magical moment or anything like that. It was just like, I guess I'll try this out. And yeah, of course, it's not, you can't try it out. It just is or isn't. And so I've been walking with the Lord and growing closer to the Lord. It's been amazing. Sometimes there's been emotional highs, emotional lows, but focusing on the mission of making disciples and spreading the gospel through relationships and other avenues has been something I'm really on fire for. So getting into looking physically weak. So when I first became red pill aware, I actually was really interested in it. Everything made sense. I wasn't even angry. And I knew I should lift because everybody said, lift, bro. There's a reason why people freaking say lift so much. Because it does insane things for you. You get a huge energy boost. You become more, I don't know, I could probably go into the science behind it, but you just become more confident. People respect you more because it's an instant indicator of discipline in your life. Like, aside from like wearing a badge that says like I'm disciplined, which wouldn't even really, people might not believe. Other things it does, helps you sleep better. Your testosterone goes up. That corresponds with the energy. You're happier. You're literally happier in life. So there's no reason not to lift. I started with Strong Lifts 5x5, which I highly recommend. It's an amazingly simple program, 3 days a week, and you will make massive gains. Also, if you want to look fit, you absolutely have to be dieting. And by dieting, I don't mean losing weight. If you need to lose weight, lose weight. But learning what a calorie is, learning how many calories you should have, what macros. Macros are like how much protein, how much fat, how much carbs should I have in my diet. Spend 5 hours, 10 hours, whatever, over the course of a couple weeks researching this stuff. Everything's on YouTube. I highly recommend Jeff Nippard and, what's his name? Matt. Oh, screw it. I can't remember Matt. So, Jeff Nippard, he explains everything. Take notes, seriously, take notes. You're going to be using this stuff for the rest of your life. if you want to be, have energy, attract women, and all that sort of stuff. That's something I want to do. It helps my mission. So the key here to sticking to this long term, which is called adherence, is not to overwhelm yourself too much in the beginning. Take it slow. And so when you work out, for example, strong lifts, it starts you out with the bar weight. And you literally, it took me like 15 or 20 minutes with a buddy. 15 or 20 minutes to do the workout, and you progressively overload. It's great. In 6 months, I was squatting, I went from just squatting the bar at 45 pounds to squatting 315 for 5 sets of 5. Solid. I also did a mad bulk. I went too far on the bulking. I went from 148, I think, of like, not necessarily skinny fat. I was pretty skinny, 148 to, or somewhere in there, to 187. And then I cut back down to 155. So it's incredible that I was able to gain 7 pounds of muscle in 6 months. Like, that's crazy gains, guys. In your first year of working out, you'll maybe get 10 to 12 pounds of muscle. So a lot of people were like, oh, I don't want to gain, most of that weight gain's actually muscle. It's not. Unless you're like doping on testosterone, which, I'm not totally against, I'm not totally for, but unless you're completely doping on testosterone, you're not going to get massive gains. 1 pound a month is a quarter pound a week. And that's just your first year. Second year, it's like 8 to 10 pounds. Third year, it's like 6 to 8 pounds. Year 4, you're like, 3 to 6 pounds. Year 5, it's 2 to 3 pounds, and then 2 to 3 pounds. And it just keeps getting smaller. That's, what is that called? Limiting returns is basically what happens. So you have to be in it for the long term, and you have to start out slow, start out small. If you do decide to do strong lifts 5x5, I highly recommend, I wish I'd done this, is to do a little bit more upper body. Like, I would add in some pull-ups, I would add in some biceps exercises, some triceps exercises, and Jeff Nippard, look at some stuff Jeff Nippard does. He's amazing, again. And just work out 3 days a week. It's so freaking simple. Like, okay, so also, when you're working out regularly, and when you're working out regularly and you are gaining muscle and you're getting those gains and it's visual, that totally ties into having a strong frame. It makes you have a strong frame, period. So yeah, get to working out. There's literally no excuse unless you're, disabled from the neck down, and then you have a great excuse. And then you got to work out your mind. You got to become brilliant. I'm not brilliant. I just can do things. Alright, so moving on to number 2 is having no purpose or mission. This one was really difficult for me, and I wouldn't say I have I wouldn't say I have a professional grip on it, but I know what I'm doing, I know where I'm going, and I know what I'm passionate about. So to give you guys kind of a framework for how to figure out what your mission is, and to kind of niche down, a lot of people say, oh, evangelize and make disciples. That's my mission. Well, guess what, buddy? That's the mission of all Christians. What is your specific mission within that, and how are you going to carry that out? So carrying that out would be your vision statements. When I was introduced to, or shortly after I was introduced to RP Christians, I guess this is a little backstory of how I developed my mission, I have a Instagram, which I have not been active on. It's called The Christian Alpha, and it gives biblical dating advice to men. and it's basically red pill Bible advice, just without the terms. So if you guys want to go subscribe to that or follow, go for it. Eventually I'll probably be posting on there, but I have a lot of other stuff I'm working on right now, so it's going to be a while. But I had accidentally cross-posted a post to my personal Facebook, and my blue pill Christian friends from my previous church, which I love them to death, like I do love them, they just were unfortunately soft egalitarians, whatever, that's the feminist word for men and women are equal, and they're not, they have different roles. Anyways, so everybody blew up my post, and the post was basically saying, men, do you want to make a good first impression? By the way, guys, you have like 10 seconds to make a good first impression, and reversing that is probably going to take like 3 hours at least. Just put it in your mind that you'll never get a chance to make a first impression or repair your first impression. So first impressions are everything, and that 10 seconds appearance is totally taken into account. 1 Samuel 16:7 backs this up. But the Lord said to Samuel, do not look at his height or his appearance, for I have rejected him. The Lord does not look at the things that man looks at. Man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks on the heart. That's great. The Lord looks on the heart, and he was telling Samuel, hey, I'm picking David. He's not the guy that you're looking for. He's not super jacked. He's not super tall, but he's the guy that I picked because his heart's in the right place. So guys, you need to get your heart in the right place. And part of the internal, part of what's going on internally shows externally. So you should be keeping up with a nice appearance. Get a haircut. What else? Scrub your tongue. That's another thing I said. Scrub your tongue. Get a six-pack. I talked about that. Get a six-pack, guys. Like, the amount of respect you get is insane. So I said all this, and everybody was like, oh, Levi, you're such a hypocrite, false prophet, blah, blah, blah. Like, 154 freaking comments, and I don't even have that many friends. I think I'm like, I don't know, 800 or something. Like, so anyways, I didn't go to bat and defend myself, because it's the truth. You don't really need to defend the truth. It just is what it is, and I'm not going to get sucked into their frame and start arguing over something that's truth. I also left it up because I kind of wanted to see this poop storm. I wanted to see this poop storm, and so it was entertaining. It was also a little bit of an emotional roller coaster. I'm not gonna lie, because pretty much all my friends, I'd say 80% of them were just automatically like dumping on me, and so I questioned. One last thing about the comments. The main trope was, Levi, a woman is interested in a man's heart for Jesus. Shouldn't be worried about all this other stuff. As a godly woman should. But also, what woman's going to take a fat loser or a skinny wimp that's on fire for Jesus? Very few women. That's the answer. Now, can you get a gorgeous babe looking fat or skinny? Yeah. Are people going to respect you as much? No. So, just go with it, guys. But I hit up Red Curious, and we got on a phone conversation, and he cast the vision of discipleship, and I was like, frick yeah, this is amazing. So I went to work and got really gung-ho about discipleship. Still did the Christian Alpha for a while, and that's kind of where I started looking into building a mission, having purpose. So if you want a really nice guide, guys, go to the sidebar of RP Christians. John's written up something amazing. If you have, it's still, after reading it and after like writing stuff down, it still can seem a little bit daunting to, I guess, outline like practically how you're gonna fulfill your mission. So my mission, after I read it and became familiar with RP Christians, and I was also very familiar with the Bible and the Red Pill separately already, but then RP Christians put them together for me very nicely. I was like, oh, well, like this is how I was understanding it before, and now this is just like fine-tuning it. So my mission is to restore biblical masculinity back to the churches. And how do I do that? Which are the visions? I'm going to start locally. I'm going to disciple guys, and I'm also, as I disciple them and teach them to read the Bible and have them read the Bible with me, or prayer or evangelizing or whatever, I'm also going to be sharing biblical red pill truths. One that's like very popular in the church, and it's only true in very select scenarios, but people over romanticize it, is God pursues his church, and he does when he's disciplining them. So men, it's your job to pursue the Lord, and your future wife's job, she will be pursuing the Lord through you. So, and your leadership. So locally, starting small groups was another thing, or being involved in them and then multiplying those. Also, another thing is writing a book and using platforms like this to share those red pill truths that are biblical, and talk to guys, encourage them to disciple and do all that other stuff. So develop your mission, go on there, check it out. And is there any other, I guess the quick and dirty of it is like, look at your desires, what you want to do in life, also your hobbies and your passions. Look at what you're good at, your skills, stuff like that. I'm naturally extroverted, so that's something that I incorporated into my mission, and what makes my mission really easy. So look at those and see how that can fit into making disciples and sharing the gospel, building relationships and sharing the gospel. So, for example, I love going to the gym. I make relationships at the gym because I'm naturally outgoing. So, as I build those contacts, I ask for contact information. Hey, want to hang out? Want to work out sometime together? Okay, cool, let's do it. And not everybody's fertile soil, but I have a list. I just started of like, step 1, hang out with people. Step 2, in the context of what I'm doing. So if it's work, like there's some guys at my work that I'm inviting to hang out here and there. And I'm testing if they're gonna hang out. And then once they are hanging out, I'm gonna test to see if they're regularly willing to hang out, and then if they're available, as Red Curious John puts it, if they're available, then step 3, start talking about deeper things, introduce the gospel. Step 4, regularly be talking about the gospel, and maybe ask them like, hey, like, are you ready to give your life over to the Lord? Don't know how it's going to go. I've not got to that step yet, to be honest. It's hard. It is hard. And then once they give their life over to the Lord, then all those other milestones of getting them to where they're regularly in the Word, where they're regularly praying, all those other things. One sec. I tried to drink a gallon of water today. It doesn't always happen. So that's kind of like taking all the stuff that you're good at, you like to do, or you want to do, and then incorporating that into your mission. That's the long and short of it. And then always have that in your mind, like when you make decisions, should I do this or should I do that? Should I hang out with this person or should I hang out with that person? run that through the filter of, is this going to help my mission more, or is this going to hurt my mission more? So some things that I've been doing, I'm investing in a small group of people. They're also investing in me. It's a really awesome small group I'm part of, and God's doing really cool things. I'm getting to share my heart for discipleship and my heart for sharing the gospel and bringing people in, and I want to get them on board, like practically. They are on board, like they're in agreement and they're loving it. And so we're trying to start integrating that in. Gosh, where was I going with that? I just completely spaced it. Yep, I can't remember. So, oh well, you guys just got to witness a brain fart. It's okay to have brain farts, by the way. That's part of my frame. It's okay to make mistakes and then own up to them. Like, owning up to a mistake is I would say one of the manliest things you can do. Don't get down about it. Like, I get chewed out at work, and my managers, I like them, and they're intense sometimes, but I'm like, yep, I messed up. You're right, totally. Sometimes I'm not smiling about it. So, yeah, guys, have a mission. Women love to follow a guy that is on mission. Oh, that's what it was. Okay, filtering things through your mission. Is this going to help or hurt? So I have purposely turned down or not initiate contact with other people that I'm less invested in, so that I can invest in this group, because these people are fertile soil, and I'm fertile soil for them too. We're encouraging each other and praying for each other, and there's spiritual warfare happening. We're feeling some attacks from the enemy, and that actually happens. Some days I wake up and I'm kind of depressed, which is dumb. My life is awesome. I love my life. I love the people I work with. I love the people I live with. God's just too good. And I'm like, okay, that's not normal, and I don't have any chemical imbalances that I know of. My diet's great. So I rebuke the enemy, and I may be wrong, but part of learning spiritual discernment on whether it's the Holy Spirit or a spiritual attack is be willing to make mistakes and learn from those and grow your spiritual discernment. So all of that to say, filter questions through the filter of, will it help or hurt your mission? That was one of the most important things John Red Curious has ever told me. The third thing is having weak frame. Oh my goodness. So it's incredible to me how many people have weak frame, or how many people get pissed off by such a little tiny itty bitty thing. Obviously, if you're living in a big city and there's traffic, for example, big city, lots of traffic, and traffic is your trigger, and your frame is, I don't want to be pissed off in this situation, but you keep putting yourself in that situation, well, maybe it's not actually helping your frame. Maybe it's hurting it, and maybe it's making it worse. But let me back up and define what frame is. So frame is how you act, how you behave, your mindset on your most optimal day, right? For me, I don't get easily pissed off. So if something makes me pissed off and there's no reason to be pissed off, or if it's for example, maybe customers are a dick to me, or my manager's a dick to me. To me, in my frame, that's not a big enough thing to get me upset. Something to get me upset would be along the lines of I don't know, somebody punches me in the face. That's gonna piss me off. Or somebody directly insults me and is you're a piece of crap. And then I'd be, the proper response would be maybe a muse mastery or agree and amplify. Agree and amplify. Muse mastery is a mindset. So, different set. But who you are on your best day. Another example, I don't swear. So when I swear, because I do swear sometimes, usually when I stub my toe or something, 99% of the times it's when I'm alone, and it's when something unexpected happens. And so I'm breaking frame in that situation. I have a buddy, and he has, kids, and his kids, like, I haven't talked to him about frame. It's something I will talk to him eventually, but he doesn't want to get upset with his kids. But they do things that annoy him, and he does get upset with them. And it's apparent that they've basically broken his frame, and he's getting sucked into their frame. So develop a rock solid frame. I'll tell you how to do that in a little bit, and then don't get sucked into other people's frames. One other thing, be careful how when people frame things. I'll give you an example from my life. My sister, I love her to death. She's awesome. Like, I would die for her. Wouldn't do anything for her, but I would die for her, 100%. Only have one sister, by the way. So years ago, she was going through some hormonal ups and downs, and she called me like a dick or something. It was just completely uncalled for. And I told her, like, hey, you can't talk to me like that. And I said it about like that. Hey, you can't talk to me like that. That's not okay. And so she's like, okay, whatever. And being kind of, snotty, snide, whatever. And so she did it again, like, within the next hour or two. Oh, new video started. Okay. So a new video just started because I reached the size limit. So gotta hurry. So my sister, she ended up calling me a dick or something for no reason. And so I was just like, okay, well, I'm leaving. And she's like, what? And she freaked out. She went nuclear because I lived an hour away at the time. And so I was just like, I'm just going back home. It was like late in the night too. So I kind of went Rambo on her, but in all fairness, I did give her that boundary. And you have to reinforce boundaries. You do. And one of the best ways to reinforce boundaries is you withdraw your time and attention. So I just was very clear of like what is and isn't okay. And there was like, there was some a little bit of fallout later, but we fixed it, we worked through it, and she stopped doing that, so that was great. And she did it a time or two later in the future, like way later, and I also pulled a really similar thing, but not as drastic. And yeah, she just respected me more in the long run, so that was great. But what she did in that instance, she was yelling, I'm sorry, and all this other stuff, and she was like angry too. And I was like, hey, that's not sorry if you're yelling it, right? I think I was drawn into her frame a little bit. Even though I wasn't yelling, I was definitely defending myself a little. I feel like I was defending myself a little bit. Anyways, so I left. She bawled, and we moved on. A year or so later, I don't know, sometime later, she kind of did it again, but she was kind of being mean, and I was helping her with homework, and she did or said something. I was like, okay, well, I'm going to bed. I was spending the night at the time. I was like, well, I'm going to bed. And she's like, oh, that's all you can ever do is leave. You're so weak. Or like, why don't you, I don't know. She was trying to like poke my ego and say like I'm a weak man or something because I can't stand up to her and like fight with her, argue with her. And rather than like getting sucked into her frame and like continuing with that, I was like, okay, good night. Like, that's my frame. I'm not going to get sucked into an argument. That's another thing that's part of my frame. I'm not going to get sucked into an argument in like a yelling match or anything like that. Like I'm saying like a lot. It's because I'm excited for this hunting trip. So that's just part of my frame. And I want to disengage from the argument, let feelings calm down, and then address it later. It works really well, by the way. Done it with a girlfriend before, and worked out great. Although we're not together anymore, and that's good too. Like, it was very amicable. We both were like, this isn't it. Okay, so how to develop frame, right? Like, that's pretty big. Let me grab a drink here. I'm getting parched. Okay, how to develop frame. Put yourself in uncomfortable situations. That's the best way to do it. I'd say probably number one. I haven't done this. I do want to do this. It's just not available right now, or I don't have the time for it. The pandemic's still kind of around. Improv. Improv is a great way to develop frame. Like, super uncomfortable. If you can, improv in front of... Stuttered there. Improv in front of crowds. Improv in front of crowds is great. I said working out, that's another one. Improv will also help you with amuse mastery and things like agree and amplify. Let's see, some other things. Well, for me, being a salesman, because you just get rejected a lot. You do. Also, when you make a mistake, you can sometimes get chewed out. And when you're put in those uncomfortable situations, you grow, right? Somebody said, you gotta do uncomfortable things because uncomfortable things are hard, and when there's pressure put on situations, diamonds form, or something witty like that. I can't remember. So those are the top things I can think of is improv, sales for me, working out, and one last one. I'll give you one bonus from my life. Part of my frame is I want to be able to go up and talk to an attractive woman whenever I want, like, and I do sometimes. So in order to get good at that, because I used to be terrified. I was terrified of women and talking to cute women. And so I want to get better at it. So I went and did a bunch of cold approaches. Like, I spent, I don't know, like a year or two doing cold approaches. I don't know how many I did, maybe 100. I don't know, I feel like it wasn't 1,000, but it was enough to where now I feel pretty comfortable. I still get nervous when I go up and talk to a cute girl. Sometimes I don't. I also feel like my age, 32, and having all this experience and seeing a lot of things in life really helps give me perspective and like, hey, this really isn't something to be freaked out about. So the more experience you can cram in a short amount of time, like a lot of rejections, going up and talking to girls, things of that nature, the quicker you'll develop your frame. Like, you'll just grow really fast. Yeah, so that's all I have for you guys today. If you have any questions or comments or anything like that, feel free to leave them in the comment section below or comment section on Reddit. Shout out my username on Reddit, the Christian Alpha, if you want me to specifically answer something. I am going to be out of cell phone service for the next 11 days, Lord willing. Because if I come back in, then either something went wrong or I got something. I do hope I get something, though. I know I'm going to get something. Okay, so last thing is like and subscribe, and then hit the notification bell right below this video. That would be great. All of our Christian community would really appreciate that, guys. Seriously. All right, until next time, stay sexy, guys. Talk to you later.